Your brain is not just a tool for thinking. It's not just a calculator for logic or a vault for memory. It is a broadcasting and receiving station, an energy center that sends out thoughts and pulls in vibrations from the world around you. Your brain is the most powerful electromagnetic instrument ever known. And the thoughts you think are not just ideas, they are vibrations. And vibration is influence. Let me explain. Every thought you hold in your mind emits a frequency. That frequency doesn't stay locked in your skull. It radiates. And when that thought is charged with emotion, especially with faith, desire, love, or fear, it becomes more than a silent whisper. It becomes a broadcast. And like any good radio tower, you are both sending and receiving all day long. Whether you're conscious of it or not, your thoughts are reaching people. They affect the tone of your voice, the power of your words, your presence in the room. And at the same time, you are absorbing thought vibrations from others, from conversations, media, environments, and intentions. You've felt this before. Walk into a room filled with tension, and you don't need to hear a word to know something is off. Meet someone who radiates belief, and you feel lifted just by being near them. This is the science of vibration, and your brain is the instrument through which it flows. Now, why does this matter? Because if you want to grow rich, not just in wealth, but in influence, clarity, and vision, you must learn to master your mental broadcast. Most people live like static. Their minds are noisy, scattered, undirected. They send out weak signals. They receive even weaker ones. And their life reflects that: noise, confusion, lack of clarity. But when you concentrate your thought, when you focus it with intensity, and charge it with faith, and hold it with discipline, you become a beacon. You start to influence. You start to attract. You begin to tap into ideas, people, and opportunities that match the frequency you've chosen. And that's the key word: chosen. You are not at the mercy of random thoughts. You are not a victim of mental accident. You are a transmitter, and you get to decide what you send. This is why I teach. Control your thoughts, and you control your life. Because the world is not just reacting to what you do. It is responding to what you radiate. And the higher the vibration, the clearer the message. This is how the greatest leaders influence without shouting. How inventors receive breakthroughs seemingly from nowhere. How some people just know things without being told. They've tuned their brain to send and receive with precision. And you can too. Your brain is the interface between your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and the infinite intelligence that surrounds all of us. When you learn to harness its power, to focus your thoughts like a laser, to tune in with clarity and purpose, you stop waiting for signs. You become the signal. Your brain is a station. But what determines the strength of your signal? What makes one person's presence magnetic and another's forgettable? What makes one idea catch fire while another fades into silence? The answer is simple: emotion. Emotion is the amplifier of thought. It's what gives your message power, clarity, and distance. Without emotion, a thought is weak. It lacks frequency. It barely ripples out into the world. But when a thought is charged with belief, with passion, with burning desire, it becomes a broadcast. It carries weight. It influences. It attracts. This is not superstition. It's energy. Every emotion you feel generates a frequency. That frequency either aligns you with your desire or pulls you away from it. Think of it like tuning a radio. If your goal is on one frequency and your dominant emotion is on another, you'll never make the connection. But when your thoughts and feelings are aligned, when you think with clarity and feel with intensity, you are now tuned in. And once you're tuned in, you begin to receive. That's when ideas start coming through. That's when you sense the right moment to act. That's when people begin showing up by chance. That's when your life begins to mirror your inner world. Because thought is not just internal, it's influential. You're not thinking in a vacuum. You're part of a system, a web of energetic connections, where everything you emit comes back multiplied. So I ask you, what are you broadcasting? Are you sending out confusion or certainty? Are you radiating frustration or purpose? Are you vibrating with fear or faith? Because the world is not responding to your words. It's responding to your signal. And that signal is created by thought plus emotion, held with repetition, guided by desire, and anchored in belief. If you want to change your life, don't just change your schedule, change your vibration. Now let's go further. Your thoughts are not just influencing your world, they are influencing the minds of others. When you focus on a person with intense emotion, love, fear, anger, or admiration, your thought reaches them. When you build a team, or run a business, or lead a family, your dominant thoughts shape the emotional climate around you. That's why great leaders elevate others simply by being near. That's why some people walk into a room and instantly shift the energy. It's not magic, it's frequency. You are always sending, you are always receiving. And the question is, are you doing it on purpose? Are you choosing the thought, fueling it with feeling, and repeating it until it becomes your inner reality? Or are you letting random fears, old patterns, and outside noise determine your signal? This is your power. You can choose what you broadcast. You can train your brain to hold a dominant vibration that calls in the life you were meant to live. And when you do, you no longer need to chase opportunity. It begins chasing you, not because you're lucky, but because your frequency finally matches your vision. So far, we've spoken about how your brain broadcasts thoughts, how your desires, emotions, and beliefs create signals that influence your world. But that's only half the equation. Your brain is not just a transmitter, it's also a receiver. It has the ability to pick up thoughts, ideas, and solutions from a source far beyond your conscious reasoning. I call this source infinite intelligence. Some call it divine wisdom. Others call it higher self, the universe, or intuition. The name doesn't matter. What matters is this: there is a well of knowledge that you can access if you learn how to receive. Think of your brain like a radio. You don't need to create the music. You just need to tune to the right frequency. And when your mind is still focused and emotionally clear, you become a receiver for answers. You've felt this before, haven't you? That sudden flash of insight, that idea that comes while walking, dreaming, or sitting in silence. That moment when the perfect solution just arrives. That's not random. That's reception. Your subconscious, charged with a definite desire, connects with higher mind, and the idea flows through. This is how great inventions are born. It's how poets write verses they can't explain. It's how visionaries anticipate the future before the world sees it. They don't always think harder. They listen deeper. But here's what you must understand. Reception does not happen in noise. It does not happen in chaos. It happens in silence. That's why quiet time matters. That's why meditation works. That's why focused solitude unlocks genius. Because when you stop bombarding your mind with outer input, you open the channel for inner knowing. The greatest breakthroughs come not during forceful thought, but after deep concentration, when the mind is relaxed and the vibration is high. Your emotions must be elevated, not anxious, but expectant, not fearful, but faithful. Because fear blocks the signal. Faith opens it. And when your mind is clear, your desire is strong, your emotion is high, and your belief is certain, you begin to receive. Sometimes it comes as a full idea, sometimes as a feeling, sometimes as a name, a phrase, a face, a nudge. Your only job is to listen and trust what comes through. This is how infinite intelligence communicates, not with noise, but with inner resonance. And the more you practice, the clearer it becomes. It is not a gift for the few. It is a capacity in all of us. But like any receiver, your brain must be tuned. So how do you tune it? You begin with clarity. Know what you want. Hold that thought. Feed it with feeling. Focus on it deeply. Then, release. Let the question float. Let the mind go still. Trust that the answer is on its way. You may receive it today. You may receive it tomorrow. But it will come, not because you chased it, but because you opened to it. That's the law. The thoughts you send create influence. The thoughts you receive create direction. And when the two are in harmony, you become a creator. You're not just living in the world. You are shaping it from the inside out. Now that you understand the brain as both transmitter and receiver, let me take you a step further. Because while your own mind is powerful, there is a way to multiply that power. It's called the mastermind. A mastermind is not just a group of people. It is a spiritual and psychological connection between minds working in harmony toward a definite purpose. When two or more minds come together with clear intention, charged with emotion, belief, and desire, they create a third invisible force, greater than the sum of the parts. It's not addition, it's amplification. Each person's brain acts like a tuning fork, sending and receiving signals. And when those signals align, when thoughts resonate on the same frequency, the energy becomes exponential. This is why great partnerships change the world. This is why creative teams birth innovation. This is why aligned communities shift culture. They are not just sharing ideas, they are sharing vibration. And that shared vibration creates access to deeper wisdom, more powerful ideas, stronger confidence, and faster manifestation. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions stabilize. Your faith expands because you are no longer broadcasting alone. Have you ever felt the momentum of aligned minds? A conversation where ideas spark endlessly. A moment when everyone is focused, alive, in flow. That wasn't just good chemistry. That was a mastermind in motion. And in those moments, each brain becomes more than it was on its own. The subconscious minds link. The emotional energy multiplies. And the connection to infinite intelligence deepens. This is not theory, this is law. The more harmony, the stronger the signal. The stronger the signal, the clearer the reception. So here's what I want you to understand. If you're trying to build something big, don't do it alone. Surround yourself with minds that match your intention. People who believe as deeply as you do. People who feel as strongly, focus as sharply, and think as richly. Because your results will never exceed the frequency of the minds around you. If you spend your time with those who think small, who dwell in fear, who scoff at vision, you will slowly match their vibration. But if you align with those who think big, who speak with clarity, who broadcast faith, you will rise with them. This is the true wealth of collaboration, not just division of tasks, but multiplication of mind. It's why the greatest leaders are surrounded by advisors. It's why innovators form think tanks. It's why some of the most powerful breakthroughs happen in quiet rooms between a few bold thinkers, not in public halls full of noise. Because energy, when aligned, opens gateways. And your brain, when tuned with others in harmony, becomes a magnet for breakthroughs you could never generate alone. So, don't just build a team, build a frequency. Don't just gather people, gather vibration. Be intentional about who you think with, because who you think with determines what you're capable of receiving. And once you experience this level of resonance, you'll never go back. You'll understand that your brain is powerful, but aligned with others, it becomes unstoppable. Now let's talk about something most people overlook, yet it determines the quality of every thought you think. You must learn to guard your frequency, because your brain is not just sending, it is always receiving. And that means you're picking up vibrations from everything and everyone around you. Every conversation, every environment, every headline, every post, every voice is transmitting a signal. And if you're not careful, you begin to absorb those signals, not intentionally, automatically. That's the danger. You may begin the day tuned into your vision, focused, clear, sending out thoughts of faith and success. But then, you talk to someone who lives in fear. You scroll through content designed to stir outrage. You sit in an environment full of doubt and distraction. And before you realize it, you've been retuned, not by decision, by default. Your thoughts become cloudy. Your emotions become heavy. Your belief weakens. And your signal, your ability to attract, create, and receive fades. This is why I say, you must become the operator of your own mind. You must decide what station you're broadcasting, and what stations you will allow in. Let me give it to you straight. You are not obligated to accept every thought you receive. You are not required to dwell in every emotional climate you walk into. You are allowed, no, you are responsible to choose your mental company. You would never leave your front door wide open to anyone passing by. So why leave your mind open to every careless opinion, every loud complaint, every limiting belief? Protect your mental space. Filter what you consume. Notice how people affect your energy. Track what thoughts come after certain conversations. Then choose, not with judgment, but with clarity. Ask yourself, does this raise my frequency or lower it? Does this move me toward my vision or away from it? Because thoughts are contagious. So are emotions. And if you spend enough time around low-frequency minds, you'll start matching them without even realizing it. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But now that you know it, you must lead yourself differently. Start your day on your frequency, not the world's. Before you check your phone, check your mind. Before you absorb news, affirm your truth. Before you listen to others, listen to yourself. Take 5 minutes to visualize. Speak your desire aloud. Connect to gratitude. Tune your brain. Because once your station is set, it becomes much easier to filter out the static. You'll recognize when someone's fear doesn't belong to you. You'll feel when a conversation is pulling you off course. And you'll return again and again to the signal that's yours. This is not avoidance. This is alignment. And alignment is your power. You don't have to argue. You don't have to convince. You don't have to prove. You simply hold your frequency and let it shape your world. Because your brain is more than a thinking machine. It's a magnetic transmitter. It's a sensitive receiver. And it is your responsibility to control the dial. When you do, you'll find clarity in chaos, peace in noise, and vision in distraction. And that's how leaders rise. They don't just think differently. They tune differently. If your brain is a transmitter, if your thoughts are vibrations, and if emotion is the amplifier, then let's talk about the strongest amplifier of all, sex energy. Yes, I said it. It's time to stop tiptoeing around this truth. Because until you understand the role of sexual energy, you are missing one of the most powerful tools for increasing your mental and spiritual frequency. Let me be clear. Sex energy is not about the act itself. It's not just physical. It's the creative life force that animates all human ambition, all emotional fire, all desire for expression and achievement. It's the fuel behind genius, the spark behind charisma, the flame behind passion. And when you transmute this energy, when you redirect it from physical outlet to emotional and mental focus, you supercharge your brain. Literally, you heighten your sensitivity. You sharpen your imagination. You increase the voltage of your thoughts. The result? Your broadcast becomes stronger. Your reception becomes clearer. You send your desires with more intensity, and you receive ideas, inspiration, and insight with more depth. This is not philosophy. It's physiology. The greatest thinkers, creators, and builders in history were men and women who learned, consciously or not, to harness this energy. They didn't waste it in distraction or indulgence. They channeled it into their work, into their mission, into their thinking. Sex energy, when purified and focused, becomes creative energy. And your brain, already an electric transmitter, now becomes magnetized with purpose. You begin to think faster, speak with more power, stand with more presence. You become a force, not because you're trying to impress, but because you are aligned with your primal creative current. Let me say this again. Sex energy is not to be suppressed. It is to be understood, elevated, and directed. When that energy is paired with vision, fueled by faith, and filtered through discipline, it becomes the highest form of thought power. And that power is what sets great people apart. They're not just smart. They're electrified. And it's not random. It's intentional. So ask yourself, where is your energy going? Is it scattered through distraction, guilt, or indulgence? Or is it being gathered, focused, and aimed at something that matters? Because the brain responds to your energy levels. The higher the charge, the stronger the broadcast. The cleaner the signal, the faster the manifestation. That's why I say, the most powerful people are not just the ones with knowledge, but the ones with controlled emotional fire. It's not about being emotionless. It's about emotional direction. And sex energy is the most potent form of that direction. When used with wisdom, if you combine that energy with your desire, your faith, your imagination, you create a signal that pierces through mental noise, rises above resistance, and reaches into the field of infinite intelligence. That's when things begin to accelerate. That's when doors open without force. That's when clarity shows up at 3 a.m. When new connections coincidentally appear, when your words suddenly carry weight they never had before. Because now, your brain isn't just thinking, it's radiating. So you understand now. Your brain broadcasts thoughts. It receives vibrations. And emotion is the amplifier. But the next question is, How do you get control of this system and use it with intention? How do you tune your mind like a precision instrument so you're not just reacting to the world, but actively shaping it? Let's start here. You must prepare your mind each day, like an engineer tunes a machine, deliberately, consistently, with care. You wouldn't step onto a battlefield unarmed. So why enter the day without mental alignment? Every morning, before the world gets to you, you must get to yourself. Begin by focusing on your dominant desire. What do you want to create? What do you want to attract? What reality are you commanding into form? Hold that thought. Charge it with feeling. Speak it out loud. Yes, out loud. Because your spoken word, powered by belief, sends out a stronger vibration than silent thought alone. Then visualize it. Not vaguely, not someday, but in detail, as if it's already happening. You're not daydreaming. You're broadcasting. And the more vivid your inner picture, the clearer the frequency you're sending into the world. Now let's talk about your emotional state. Throughout the day, your signal is influenced by what you feel. If you allow fear, anger, distraction, or doubt to dominate your emotions, you distort the signal. You weaken the message. You send static into the field. But when you move through your day with gratitude, with conviction, with purpose, your mind stays on frequency. So your job is not to eliminate all negative emotion. That's impossible. Your job is to not dwell there. Notice it. Interrupt it. Refocus. Because every time you return to your chosen signal, your vision, your purpose, your belief, you strengthen the channel. And over time, that signal becomes dominant. It becomes your energetic identity. Now, let's add one more element. Environment. If you want to keep your brain tuned, surround it with support. That means protect your physical space. Minimize exposure to negative noise. Engage with voices that inspire. Read what uplifts. Listen to what expands you. Speak with those who align with your direction. Because energy is contagious, and your brain is always listening. When you put yourself in a positive, energetic field, you elevate without effort. You begin to think clearer, act faster, feel stronger, because you've removed interference. And the more time you spend in that state, the more natural it becomes. That's how the greatest thinkers operate. Not from chaos, but from tuned clarity. They don't wait for the world to calm down. They calm themselves. They set the tone. You can do the same. Start your day like a transmitter. Clear, intentional, and focused. Hold your frequency like a professional. Adjust it as needed with awareness. Reinforce it with emotion, with language, and with action. And before long, you won't just be thinking on purpose, you'll be living on frequency, and the world will respond. Now let's move to something many talk about, but few truly understand. I'm talking about inspired thought. That flash of clarity, that sudden solution, that perfect idea. Where does it come from? It doesn't come from the conscious mind. It doesn't come from stress, worry, or overthinking. It comes from reception. Yes, your brain is a broadcasting station. But once you've sent the signal of your desire, once you've burned it into your subconscious with repetition and feeling, you must now become a receiver. You must be open to receive the answer. And let me tell you how those answers arrive. They don't shout. They whisper. They come as flashes, as images, as nudges, as the still small voice that says, do this, call them. Now is the time. Some call it gut instinct. Others call it intuition. But I call it what it is. Thought received. You've opened the channel through emotional vibration. You've tuned your frequency through desire and belief. And now, infinite intelligence responds. That response might come in the quiet moment between waking and sleep, in a dream that lingers with meaning, in a line of conversation that suddenly clicks, in a sentence you read that stops you cold. You won't force it. You won't control it. You'll simply recognize it because it feels right. It comes with peace, not pressure, with flow, not friction, with certainty, not explanation. And your job is not to doubt it, but to act on it, because inspired thought is perishable. It doesn't linger forever. It flashes like lightning, and if you hesitate too long, it fades. This is why you must build a habit of listening, of tuning in, of keeping your internal space clear enough to notice the signal when it comes. Some of the greatest successes I've known, people who built companies, wrote books, launched movements, acted on one moment of inner certainty. And that moment didn't come from effort. It came from alignment. Let me say something plainly. If you're always rushing, always consuming, always reacting, you are likely missing the ideas that could change your life. The world is loud, but inspiration is quiet. To receive it, you must create space. That space can be 5 minutes of silence. It can be a walk without noise. It can be a journal, a deep breath, a single thought held in stillness. It's not about doing more. It's about being more available to the wisdom that already surrounds you. Now here's what's powerful. The more you act on these inspired thoughts, the more you begin to trust them. And the more you trust them, the more frequently they arrive. You begin to form a relationship with a part of yourself that isn't bound by logic, but guided by something higher. This is not fantasy. It's function. Your brain is capable of receiving thought from beyond your current knowledge, because your mind is connected to something larger. Some of the world's greatest inventors said it felt like they were being given ideas from outside themselves. They didn't invent them. They discovered them by tuning in. And you can too. You don't have to know everything. You just need to stay open. Stay still. Stay connected to your signal. And when that flash comes, honor it. Because that may be the one idea that changes the next 10 years of your life. We've talked about broadcasting. We've talked about receiving. We've talked about tuning your thoughts and emotions. But there's one more level of power I want you to understand. Your thoughts don't just shape your own life. They influence the minds of others. This is not a metaphor. It's reality. Your brain emits vibration. That vibration reaches beyond your body. It enters the space between you and those around you. And it is felt, even when it's not spoken. This is why some people walk into a room, say almost nothing, and still shift the energy. It's why others speak constantly, but their words fall flat. Because communication begins before the first word. You're always broadcasting your level of belief, your level of conviction, your level of self-respect, your level of emotional charge. And that broadcast affects people. Have you ever been near someone whose presence gave you calm, or someone whose presence made you feel unsettled, without knowing why? That wasn't just charisma. It was vibration. When your mind is filled with clear intention, and your body is charged with emotion, you radiate influence. You're not trying to manipulate. You're not performing. You're simply aligned, and others can feel it. This is why true leaders don't need to force. Their clarity speaks louder than commands. Their focus silences doubt. Their presence commands attention. It's not magic. It's mental energy, refined and directed. Now here's the key. This same principle can work for you or against you. If your internal world is full of fear, anxiety, and insecurity, people will sense that, even if your words sound strong, even if your posture looks confident, because vibration speaks before voice. So don't just work on your words, work on your inner frequency. When you speak from alignment, people listen, not just because of what you say, but because of how they feel when you say it. And that feeling is created by thought, charged with emotion, transmitted through your nervous system. Let me give it to you plainly. Your thoughts affect the thoughts of others. If you hold belief in someone, they feel it. They rise to meet it. If you carry doubt, judgment, or irritation, they pick that up too. This is why great mentors elevate people. They don't just give advice. They transmit belief. This is why great teams win. They don't just execute a plan. They share a vibration. This is why some people seem lucky, but in truth, they're just aligned, and others feel drawn to support them. So how do you use this? Start by becoming intentional about what you project into relationships. Don't just speak what you want. Radiate it. When you want to influence someone, see the outcome clearly in your mind. Feel it emotionally. Hold that vision as you speak. Whether you're leading a team, closing a deal, or raising a child, your silent message will always carry more weight than your spoken one. People may not remember your words, but they will remember how your presence made them feel. So fill your presence with clarity, calm, and conviction, because that's what the world responds to. You don't need to dominate. You need to resonate. And when your brain is tuned to your purpose and your emotions are aligned with your message, your influence becomes effortless. This is the highest form of leadership. Influence by vibration, persuasion by clarity, power by presence. And it all begins in the mind. We've come to the end of this message, but truly this is just the beginning. Because now you understand something that most people will never grasp. Your mind is not just for thinking. It is for transmitting. It is for receiving. It is for creating. Your brain is a high-powered station. It is constantly pulsing out the frequency of your dominant thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. And in return, it receives answers. Ideas, opportunities, people, circumstances. This is not fantasy. It is function. The question is not whether it works. It's whether you'll use it on purpose. Because most people don't. Most people let their minds wander. Let their emotions rule. Let their energy be shaped by the news, the past, or the fears of others. And as a result, they send static and they receive confusion. But you know better. You've been handed the manual, the frequency guide, the master key. And with that comes responsibility. Because you are now accountable for the quality of what you think, what you feel, and what you allow into your system. So here is your charge. Live as a broadcaster. Every day, decide what you will transmit. Choose your dominant emotion. Speak your truth into the space. Feel your vision as if it's already done. Radiate it not in desperation, but in certainty. And live as a receiver. Each day, make space to listen, to quiet the mind, to receive the ideas, the nudges, the wisdom that infinite intelligence is already sending you. You are not separate from that source. You are connected by thought. And thought is energy. So what will you do with that energy? You can waste it on fear. You can spend it on distraction. Or you can invest it in creation. You can direct it, shape it, transmute it. You can become the kind of person whose presence carries power, whose words carry clarity, whose mind calls in the people, places, and timing needed to build something great. This is not about ambition alone. It's about alignment. When your thoughts match your vision, when your emotion matches your purpose, when your body, brain, and soul are all tuned to the same frequency, you stop chasing. You start attracting. You stop trying to make it happen. You start letting it happen through the law of vibration. So let this be your final reminder. Your brain is the bridge between desire and reality. It connects you to others. It connects you to source. It connects you to the version of yourself you haven't even met yet. The version who is bold, focused, magnetic, creative, peaceful, prosperous, and all of that becomes available when you take command of your thought. So from this day forward, do not waste your broadcast. Do not block your reception. Do not let others detune your signal. Think clearly. Feel intentionally. Speak with faith. Create from alignment. Because when you live that way, you don't just think and grow rich. You vibrate and grow free. And freedom is the highest form of wealth there is.